name numerology gives us what we're working with in this lifetime as, I want to say, the personality. It shows us our desires and shows us our strengths and weaknesses. And like if I was a Sherpa taking all of you on a trip through the Himalayas, I would assess each one of you. Like, he could climb the mountain, Carrie might need a donkey to carry some of the stuff with her, you might need to bring a hairdryer. I'm just joking, okay? And Debbie might need to bring, extra water bottles, right? So that's kind of what we do with numerology. The birth name is that we start looking at what is this person bringing into this life, right? Also understand we incarnate to learn. So somebody says, oh, I've come here to be a spiritual teacher, an artist. Let's remember, you incarnated either to do over something that you failed at in another life. I'm using the word failed, but let's just say you didn't complete the class, right? So you're either coming back to do it again, or you're doing something you've never done before. So no matter who you see yourself represented as in this life, do not assume that you're going to sail through it and be that way. It's also going to cause you a little bit of stress because you want to come here to experience being that way. So while you want it, part of you is going to go, like that at times. Like you want to be a mom and then you're pregnant and you're like, it's just like a mixed bag, right? I always talk about everything has a range. Numerology has a range. Astrology has a range. The range is, here is the best I can be in this life, in these areas that I am striving for in this lifetime. But there's also the worst, and then there's a lot in the middle, right? Where you really excel for some part of your life, and that's when we look at the birth date. Like, let's say there's a period where everything you can be is supported. Yay, and you're amazing. Then the next section of your life is you're everything you can be, and everything is now working against you. How do you hold up there? That's the challenge. That makes life exciting, right? It's kind of like, let's say you're a movie star, and oh yeah, you're a movie star. What happens now when you're not a movie star? Do you still take your acting classes? Do you still audition? Or do you freak out and panic and beat yourself up, etc.? Right? So I'm going to be asking you to look at those things with your name also, that you understand we set up a course for ourselves and a challenge. The free will that we have in this life is how we run the course, right? Given that we're here to learn, also understand you and everyone on this planet will make mistakes. That's learning. When you're not making mistakes, you're mastering. And even then you make mistakes, just not such big ones usually, right? But when you're learning, you fall down and go boom. Another nice way to use numerology also is to look at what I call a family constellation. I met an incredible astrologer who used astrology for that. He would chart mother, father, siblings, etc., and any other big influence in the family, whether if it's a grandparent, etc., and look at how do all these players fit into your current life. And it changes a lot how you look at your mother or father. So now say you look at your father who molested you, or your mother who abandoned you, right? And we're still in the place of, how could you do that to me? Right? And that's a good place to go to work on healing and the psychology. But at some point we can go back and look at their chart and go, wow, I see how they veered off, right? It was almost inevitable, or it would be so hard to avoid going down that road, right? So one, we get compassion for our family members, right? That doesn't excuse what they did to us. We still have to work on our hurts and our shame and all of that, but it now takes us to a spiritual level. I always tell people, work through psychology first. Don't go into denial. Oh, it was meant to be, and all that nonsense, because we came here to feel emotions. Otherwise, we come here as a ball of light. So first work on the psychology. My mother left me. My father abused me. We moved too much. Whatever made you insane. Work on the psychology of that, because that changes your energy field. When you reach kind of a neutral point about that, like, yeah, that happened, I get it. And I see how it helped me, right? In psychology would call it in a very sick way, but spiritually we can say, I see how that made me stronger as a soul. Now you're ready to go back and look at the family structure from a soul perspective. Why did we decide to incarnate and do this to each other? Right? Because not only did your parents do it to you, you did it to them. Right? You confronted them or you didn't confront them. You stayed with them or you left them. F you, I'm never talking to you again. You can go back and use numerology to look at that. Also remember with numerology, I always teach work with energy first, right? Then you work with information second. This is always easy to go to, right? But I always want to call up the energy first, so that says to me and to my guides and to spirit, help me with this. Not I know everything and I'm going to use this as a tool to figure out everything, but instead saying, help me with this so that not only do I learn for someone else, but I learn from me as well. Let the energy impact me. I'm not saying the way I teach is right, by the way. I'm just saying that's how I teach. So with everything we do today, we're going to do energy exercises first, right? And I suggest that you do that if you continue to work with numerology. That if you read the information first, it's very hard to tune into the energy second, because now the left brain is sure it means this, right? So I always suggest, same thing with crystals. Hold the crystal first and see what you get, right? And then you can look it up afterwards, right? First off, let's start. You're going to need pieces of paper. On pieces of paper, I want you to write on one little piece of paper, like that big. Write your full name at birth as it's on your birth certificate. Right? On another piece of paper, I want you to write the name that you go by now, how you sign checks, or how your first and last name, how it's known. Right? In normal daily use, how do you sign your name? Right? How do people know you? And then after you've done that, you're going to fold them up and mix them up so you can't tell them apart. Oh, yeah, I'm the guy who wears jeans and a polo shirt. Then you start showing up in Armani suits with a Rolex, right? And at first everybody's like, whoa. But then after a while they're like, whoa, okay, this person, this is Armani suit, this is Rolex, this is something else. It's not going away. Now they start treating you differently. That in turn will change your behavior. It will change your energy field. But it is layered on top of the birth name. The birth name will always be pushing through that, right? Just so you know that. We want to let people also, if they've increased their challenge with their shortened name or a married name, there may be a good reason for that, right? So we don't want to use numerology to fix something the left brain says is bad, right? We want to just go, well, maybe that person is so lazy spiritually, they need those challenges to be much bigger to get them off their butt and do their work. We don't know, right? Just like when you start looking at your family constellation, you will be very shocked to see your mother's chart and your father's chart compared to what you thought of them if you're mad at them for something, right? It is quite shocking sometimes to see. And then it's very humbling because you see if they could veer off that way, so can I. You're going to mix these up. You're going to hold one of the pieces of paper between your hand. Before you do that, meditate first. Get a little centered. Just breathe. When you feel centered, you're going to pick up one. And you're going to ask, how does this feel? And when you're finished, put it down and write some notes. Okay? Like paper number 1, felt like this. And explore the feeling. Like, is it anxious energy? Is it wired energy? Is it peaceful? If it's peaceful, what kind of peaceful? Sleepy peaceful, Caribbean peaceful, avoidance peaceful. Like when people say, I feel nothing, I ask them question. Their nothing always has a texture. It's not just nothing. It's nothing run away. It's nothing zoned out. It's nothing I'm safe. It's nothing like I don't dare move, I'm a bunny, and if I move, the coyote's going to get me. right? So you want to find out what you're feeling. Then when you're ready, you'll pick up this, you'll center again. Before you do the second paper, pick up the second paper after you're centered again. Ask, how does this feel? What am I getting here? And write some notes about that, okay? When you're done, then you'll open up both pieces of paper and see what's what, okay? And allow energy to work through you instead of going, oh, I see this is how it's true. It's just like, this could be true. So now I'm going to ask for guidance and let that kind of simmer over a period of time, right? When I do numerology charts on people, I work on them on and off for a couple of days before I see the person. I don't just do a chart and, all that stuff. It's got to let things filter in, things fall into place, more to be revealed, some information has to get a little more integrated, etc., right? And now that you see that also, you can start looking at your life. Like Andrew might catch himself that he puts himself in a place emotionally or energetically where he feels powerless. He might catch that and go, whoa, that's kind of a tendency. Deb might find that she puts herself in a place where she's happy. And that's a priority, and I don't feel safe or grounded, but yeah, so it's kind of that like cocaine high or something, or sugar high, like that, right? So now we start to notice if we have a proclivity for that, right, that we might look at, well, no wonder I chose this birth name, because I wanted to come here to learn this, and I still tend to go over here this way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So to me, the best place to at least start with numerology is to really look at trying to understand the major I came in to study, the homework I came to do, the transformation I volunteered to put myself through, right? Not what I came to accomplish and do. That's almost irrelevant. Sometimes people will ask me, should I move here? Should I take this job? My response is, if they're evolved enough to talk to someone this way, is it doesn't matter, because here's the lesson coming in. Would you like it to come in on that new job? Then take the job. Would you rather have that come in while you stay at home and take care of the kid? Then stay at home and take care of the kid. Because the real thing that's happening is this lesson is coming in. Job, movement, all of that stuff, that really doesn't change anything but the trail. Right? So the trail is going to end up here. You can take the trail this way to get there. You can take the trail this way. You can take the trail this way to get there. Right? When we come in with a birth name, if we don't like it, and then we feel this energy, it doesn't necessarily mean we have to stay with it, but we may choose another name or another spelling for a name we're comfortable with in this lifetime also, right? So we don't have to throw out a nickname, right? We sit with it for a while and see where we want to go with that. And sometimes we stay there with it to say, I don't see anything to change yet. It may be because that other name is taking you through some lessons at a more accelerated rate. Now you're going to let that run its course, and then one day you wake up and go, I don't like that name anymore. That's a good time to make a change, right? Okay, very nice. We're going to work on our birth name. So the birth name, we add up all the vowels, and the vowels give us the soul energy, how we want to experience the part of our soul that's incarnated in this life. It gives us how we experience ourselves internally, how we want to experience ourselves internally. It doesn't mean we will, because remember, we come in here either because we are doing over a class we didn't quite complete in another life, or we want to try something completely new because we did complete another class and now we're on to this class. So the vowels give us how we experience ourselves internally. Consonants give us how we present to the external world, how we want other people to see us in this lifetime. Maybe inside I want to be all upbeat and everything, but I want the rest of the world to see me as very quiet and added together. They give us what, in my version of numerology, there's so many versions out there, they give us what we can call our destiny number, what we came here to do. The birth date gives us the main thing we came here to learn. The birth name gives us kind of the play piece, the piece we put into play in order to learn what we came here to learn, right? So eventually we do look at how does the birth name and the birth date, what is that relationship? So say the birth name sets you up as very shy, and your birth date sets you up to be rich and famous. There's a conflict there. It's going to be very, very challenging. Instead of, yay, I'm rich and famous, it's going to be like, oh crap, how do I handle all of this, right? When you're in the learning phase, we want to look at all aspects and let it settle. Just let it settle. After a while, you will understand which aspects are in play because you use your intuition with the tools to do that. So 4711 is a master number. So master numbers are double digits. And they always are, they're like bullet trains, right? So if you're on a bullet train, you're going 120 miles an hour, which means you cover a lot of territory. But if you derail, you're derailing at 120 miles an hour instead of at 10 miles an hour. So the lessons are bigger, the progress is bigger. It can be both. And it can be very, very challenging. At birth, you have the vowels, you have the consonants. You take your oracle cards and ask, what do I need to know about the energy of the vowels, about my soul energy? And pull one card. Just pull one card. Notice the number of the card, but also notice the message. Like, I don't quite understand what this chart means. Then you can pull one card for the consonants, and then you can pull one card for the total, and then you can pull one card for your birth date, for the lesson that you've come here to learn, right? So we can use the oracle cards to further assist in our understanding of what am I looking at here? Or what do I need to know from this chart right now? Maybe in a year, you'll see something else in it. Does that make sense, right? I have charts from people going back 30 years, and I still go back and look at them when I talk to them to see how far they've come and to see how far they might have left their chart behind, so to speak. In other words, they've really accomplished what they came here to do, and now everything they're doing now is sort of at a postgraduate level. Does that make sense? Yeah, and that's pretty much off the numerology then. That's like you can't really follow it with numerology at that point. You have to follow that with something else. So that's a nice way to use oracle cards, and you can use any deck for that, to ask for clarification with that.